And welcome back, everyone. We're almost caught up. We're at season 6 now at Deathbattle. My thoughts, comments, prayers, all that good stuff. So let's just get into it. Remember, this is just my opinion, so if you don't like it, well, screw you. Anywho, so Aquaman, season 6 opened with Aquaman versus Namor. This is one of those DC fights that everyone knew was coming eventually. They were going to get to it. And you know what? I feel like the people who really just get on the... Whoa, crud. Now, that's not what I want to do. This is what I want to go back to doing. Come on, get bigger. Get bigger. Come on. Come on. Wait a minute. There we go. So, as I was saying, I feel like the people was like, another Marvel versus DC, or another Marvel or DC or Marvel versus DC one. I just don't care. It's like, okay, first off, Deathball does have to go with the popular ones, the ones that a lot of people are going to go with. Not all the time, but those are the ones that kind of draw people in to some degree. And it's got to be characters people probably know at least a decent amount of. And look, those fights are going to come eventually, so why not just get them out of the way now so you can eventually get better fights down the line? Either way, I don't have too much of a problem with this fight. The analysis is fun. Fun enough. They do. I like how they continually talk. It's like, that sounds familiar. Wait a minute, and then talking to fish and all that. The fight itself is okay. It's not really all that amazing, although the death is pretty gnarly. I do like the death, Namor's death. And hey, I got that one right. So I can't remember how many. Actually, I'm going to look back on these seasons when I started actually guessing, because I started doing the predictions right around tail end of season 3. But anyway, so yeah, Aquaman vs. Namor, it's an okay fight. It's a 5.5 fight for my opinion. The Mega Man Battle Royale, for me, it's like a 7.5 out of 10. This is a really fun fight, but the problem is the Royales, they can get so confusing sometimes what's going on there. Also, the analysis just gets, tiresome after a while, and they even acknowledge it, which I do like. But the fight itself, it's fine. It's got some good moments. I called it. I actually called this one. Here's how awesome it is to feel calling this one. You had a 20% chance of being right. Okay, let's clarify that. You had a 25% chance of being right because no one was going to pick the guy at the bottom here. I can't remember his name. Bolt was his name, or Vault. Anyway, no one was calling him. And honestly, no one was probably calling Mega Man, the original Mega Man. So it was between the three. Mega Man X, EXE, and, oh god, I don't even remember the name of that one. So you had about 33% chance, a 1 in 3 chance. But still, like, those aren't great odds. Like, the odds are not in your favor on that. No matter what you pick. So the fact that I called that one right, I do like. And there are some good moments. Their explanation made a lot of sense. Now, I should also note with the Aquaman versus Namor one of the big things I care about is characters being within character. Both of them were, and the setup for the fight. But I do like the fact that it's kind of just Aquaman being a dick, which he is, and pissing him off. This is just, the problem with Battle Royales is there's usually not a very good reason for the Royale to start. And so 7.5 out of 10 for me. That's where it goes. Black Widow versus Widowmaker. I'll be straight out honest right now. Upon rewatching this, I'm like, okay, I remember liking this fight a lot. And I'm like, their analysis, okay, the analysis is fine. There's some good bits in there. Why your skin's blue, all that. The fight is well animated mostly. There are some moments where the animation is, It's well animated mostly, but honestly, it's mostly just a chase for a little bit. Black Widow is doing her best to avoid Widowmaker, and then finally, it ends in a pretty good. When they finally get close range combat with each other, that's when the fight really picks up. But it's the last 30 seconds of the fight, and is like, she basically Rottweilers her head off, which is brutal as hell. And it looked good. There were, like I said, there was some, for my opinion, animation jank going on a little bit, but I give it a 6 out of 10. So far we've had an slightly above average, a pretty good episode, and an okay episode. Like better than okay. I'd even call it decent episode. Captain Marvel Shazam kind of continues this with it being, this is honestly a perfect example of a 5 out of 10 fight. I don't care about Captain Marvel's character. I don't even like her in the comics that much. I don't find her a very likable character, investing character. I'm not invested into this character, and the movies don't really help. Unlike a lot of people get on Brie Larson's case, my issue isn't Brie Larson. I actually think she's a good fit for the character. My problem is the character itself. So there. But this was one of the ones where I'm like, yeah, Shazam's gonna win. Shazam's gonna win. This was a no-brainer for me. And there's a couple of moments, sure, like when she takes away, absorbs Shazam's magic and then goes, oh, what was that you said? Oh yeah, Shazam, and then turns him back into Billy. That I liked. The death is whatever, although I do like the intro where it is very much a Billy move where it's like, oh, charging that, charging, oh, stop, and then Captain Marvel is Ben being Captain Marvel. Yeah, this is and the animation's okay. There's nothing amazing. It's all pixels and stuff and it looks fine. It's well animated, honestly, for what it is. I just don't give a rat's ass about these characters. I don't give a rat's ass about Captain Marvel. Shazam I like, actually. I really liked the Shazam movie. I want a Shazam movie. So yeah, that's my take on it, though. Moving on to Wario versus King Dedede. I'm not gonna lie, I liked this a bit more than I thought initially. Although characters I don't care because I actually am not a big Mario guy. I played Mario and I enjoyed it for what it was, but I'm not like super invested. I don't get any of the updated games or anything like that. My sister plays Mario a bit more than I do, but that's about it. And I am very much not. I even less play Kirby. That said, the fight is very wacky and kind of fun. It is very wacky and fun. And their analysis is all well and good for what it is. And the mushroom cloud fart is kind of, hilarious. But the death is like, whatever. So, yeah, I mean, this is a 6 out of 10 fight. So far, this season has really been just lackluster for me at this point. So yeah, and it didn't really get much better with Ben 10 versus Green Lantern. Now, that is actually not because the fight itself wasn't cool. I like the fight. The analysis is really good too for these guys. Yeah, and it's like the basking shark of Will. It's like, yeah, it gets weird. He only overpowered the embodiment of will in the universe. What the? I do enjoy that quite a bit. The fight is fun, too. The reason Hal tries to go after Ben makes complete sense, and they're well within character for each other. It's the argument of what... Because this was really weird. Hal won, and I thought Ben would win if Alien X gets involved, probably. But no, and yet he kind of should have based on the explanation they gave. I don't know. The best explanation I have for why the Omnitrix didn't stop the Green Lantern from removing Ben's arm is because when we actually look at what happened in that episode when they tried to happen, they tried to take it off right at the wrist, right where the Omnitrix was. So I think what Hal did was basically cut up much higher on the arm so the Omnitrix wouldn't react to that. I think that's what happened. And that's not a life-threatening injury either. So... it is and isn't. Like, at the moment, it wasn't going to kill Ben, so I think that's why that happened the way it happened. However, beyond that, though, everyone's explanation of why Alien X didn't sense the time travel, honestly, I mean, maybe it might, to be fair, that might not be within his realm of capability to sense time travel of others, just time travel. The argument people seem to make is the fact that because he can travel through time, he should be able to sense other people traveling through time. And to be fair, the Celestial Sapiens are a creature that are an alien that, in theory, should have that type of ability. But because that ability is never demonstrated, I think that's why Deathbattle didn't go with that. I think that's the reason for it. And to be honest, yeah, that makes sense. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you can sense someone else doing something. Just because I can maybe, harness the power of the sun in the palm of my hand, doesn't mean I could sense someone else doing that. Just because I can warp reality doesn't mean I theoretically can sense someone else warping reality. Or stop someone from doing it too. It all depends on what your level of power is in that field. So yeah, the whole end result of that fight gets very confusing for me. So this is above average. It's a 6.5 out of 10 for me. Weiss versus, what was her name again? Oh crap. Weiss versus Mitsuru. Who cares? My sister loves Ruby. I don't really care that much about Ruby, if I'm going to be honest. I do not care. Nope, no siree. It was fine. It was a decent little fight. I didn't get wow moments or anything like that, or like, yeah, her shooting herself in the head with a gun. Pardon me, which isn't really a gun, obviously. That is cool. I like that kind of like badass moment she has, but I don't really care that much. It was a 6 out of 10 fight for me. I didn't hate it. Johnny Cage versus Captain Falcon. This was definitely, looking on it again, this was a funner fight. The analysis was a lot of fun too. And I do like the setup very much that Captain Falcon is, John Cage is going to be playing Captain Falcon in the movie, and Captain Falcon ain't having that. And so their fight begins. And I like the fight. I like the car running over Johnny. That's a lot of fun. I do enjoy that quite a bit. For me, it was a 7 out of 10 fight. I do like that. And their explanation why Johnny lost made a lot of sense. So, moving on. Aang versus Eric. This is one I hear a lot of people don't really like that much. And I can kind of see why. It is above average for me. I think the animation, honestly, is fine. Like, a lot of what they're doing in there. There's a lot of clever, like, imagination being thrown out there. Accidentally decapitating the statue, thinking it's him. Freaking out for it. That does fall within Aang's personality. Apologizing for maybe the short comment. He didn't mean it. That's well within there. There's some animation jank, to be sure, but there almost always is. And then Aang coming in. I mean, we knew Aang was probably going to win because he had yet to go into the Avatar state. That's the thing. So we knew Aang was probably going to win when they got that far in the fight, and he was in the Avatar state. I'll admit, him in the Avatar state didn't look quite right when they were trying to do the air sphere with the earth, water, and fire. Didn't quite look right. But still, it's fine. I don't think it's awful, but it's not great. It's not a great fight. It's an okay fight. It's a decent fight. 6 out of 10. So up until this point, it's been a pretty lackluster season, if I'm going to be frankly honest. But then Ghost Rider versus Lobo came around, and damn it all do I love this fight. The animation's on point. It looks great. Some of the hand-drawn stuff, especially when we get Zarathos, great. Lobo is peak Lobo personality. Oh my god, he dies at the end. It's like, I ain't getting that, baby. He doesn't care that he died. And then finally, Lobo of Zord! That's just like, oh, so good. Oh, that's so good. I will say, when it gets to the city, it does seem like they go to Zarathos a little quick. But other than that, I have very little to no complaints about the fight itself. The fight's great. And the explanation was 100% on point. That was 100% on point how he should have lost that fight and would have lost that fight. I really appreciate the explanation they gave. And both their analyses are good. Absolutely. Lopez particularly has a bunch of jokes like, who was that Edward Cullen's looking mother effer? Like, I love that joke. Like, it is a great 9 out of 10 fight for me. The only thing that hurts it is a little bit of that middle fight at the city. Other than that, though, 9 out of 10 fight. I loved it. And here, folks, is your only 10 out of 10 fight for the season. Dragon Zord versus Mecha Godzilla is one of those fights I will constantly go back and rewatch. The animation is great. The actual fight itself is brutal. I love that shot where Dragon Zord comes in and just grabs Dragon Zord, but with his hand and starts dragging him and punching him while he's dragging him. Oh my god, that is awesome. And obviously the final death where they do, and they play it well too, where they got that music going and he just pierces him and it's like, we got this, and all of a sudden he pulls him in, it's like, and then boom, it's absolute zero cannon. Oh my god, so good. The analysis is great too. Talking about the Dragon Zord, talking about Kido, the ghost of the machine and all that, and then I believe it was the Mecha Goose joke was good. This is a 10 out of 10 episode for me. I love this episode. Oh god, I love this episode so much. Such a great episode. He versus Sasuke. I do not love this episode, especially upon rewatching it. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. I was actually in the camp of Sasuke, and in hindsight, I really shouldn't have been. I was watching Yu Yu Hakusho long before I watched Naruto. I did. And if you're going to put me a gun to my head and tell me which one I like more, oh yeah, I actually liked Yu Yu Hakusho probably more than Naruto. I love Naruto, but I like Yu Yu Hakusho more. That is my comfort food anime right there. I own a great portion of it, like on like DVD. I really need to pick up like Dark Tournament. The Dark Tournament ones, that's the one I need to pick up more than anything else. But yeah, I mean their analysis is fine. It's not great though, if I'm going to be honest. The fight itself, it's got its moments. I like watching the Dragon of the Darkness Flame go against the Susanoo. I do like that. And like the final strike between them is pretty good. I'll admit though, their reasoning for fighting made very little sense to me. It's like, just go away, walk away, blah blah blah. Yeah, I didn't buy that. I did not buy that. For me, it's like a 6 out of 10. And the way they explained it, yeah, that worked out fine. I had no issues with the explanation. Ganondorf versus Dracula, that's a big step up fight right there. There are still some moments of animation that looked a little off there. And their explanation for Ganondorf and Dracula, like their actual, think words here. Their actual, bleh, why am I, their actual analysis. I can't think of any joke that really stood out to me. The fight, though, that's what you're there to see. And man, does that fight get, like, it starts well where Ganondorf's trying to take over Dracula's castle and it's like, but what is a man? It's like, great stuff. And then the fight actually takes place. And like I said, there's some points of animation that look weird. But ultimately, I think they did a bang-up job. And that's particularly when they go into Ganon versus Dracula demon form. And, he just blows out the Triforce of Power. It's like, what? It's like, you're not a man, you're just a pig, and I want to hear you squeal. Rips him up half and just drinks his blood. Oh, God. So brutal. Great. It's great stuff. And I forgot to get the actual image up for Totsami versus Otsumaki versus Mob. So, yeah, that was an 8.5 fight for me. Absolutely. Mob versus Totsumaki, upon rewatching it, that did not age well. It's not god-awful, but it's the only fight of the entire season that's below a 5. Some of the hand-drawn stuff looks good, but it's juxtaposed against some of the, like, the non-hand-drawn stuff, and it just looks odd. It just looks weird. And honestly, the reason they're fighting makes no sense. Like, her being basically a bitch, I get it, that's within her character, but that does not add up to me at all. Really, at all. The fight itself, though, was okay, not great. And there's not much that's standing out to me the whole time. And he kind of really goes to his full power very quickly. I agree with a lot of people on that. Overall, it's a 4 out of 10 fight for me. Deadpool versus the Mask. This I want to like a lot more than I do. My biggest problem with this is that this fight, and I actually was kind of rooting for Deadpool in the fight, but the problem is this wasn't a death battle. The problem was this was designed in the storyline of the show. They specifically put him up. They even say within the episode that they knew they pushed him. It wasn't a fair fight. They were just trying to kill Deadpool, and they succeeded. Sure. And I do like that. Now, there are things I like. I like the hand-drawn thing. I like that. The fact that it goes to live action, that part kind of drags a bit for me. I like the fact that, like, the continuity stone makes the makes them go to the storyboards. I do like that. And then they'll say, hey, how'd you give him those? Oh, buddy, I'm already wearing it. And then the continuity stones up brings Deadpool back. But again, I don't like this episode as much as I should, simply because it was designed specifically to kill Deadpool. That's what it was. Even I like the setup too. Like, if it wasn't for the fact it was specifically designed to kill Deadpool, I would have probably liked this a lot more than I do. As it stands, though, it's a 5 out of 10. In fact, I believe it's a 5.5 out of 10. Sorry. I do like it a great deal, or not, a decent amount, sorry, but I do not love it by any stretch of the means. So that leaves us with All Might versus Might Guy. And this is what you want from a season finale fight. This is a start. I like that we're starting with the arm wrestling. Oh, you look like a worthy challenger in arm wrestling. And then it goes into the actual fight, and it makes. I'll say this. One of the few things I'm not a fan of in the fight is some of the stiff fighting movements from Guy and All Might, particularly Guy, surprisingly. But then it quickly picks up, especially when we get into, sixth gate, seventh gate, eighth gate. Yeah, and then, all United States of Smith punching right through him, never give up, no matter cost. Eighth gate of death. Open, and then Midnight Dragon, Night Guy comes in, just they clash. Oh, that's a great moment. Great battle overall. And both these guys just have a really good analysis to them. Overall, there's some moments I'm not fond of, I kind of nitpick a little bit for, but I do kind of detract from me. But for me, it's a 9 out of 10. I really dig the fight quite a bit. So this leaves this average rating for Death Battle for Season 6 at 6.7, making it the second highest rated Death Battle season to date for me. Now, that being said, without spoiling anything, that will go up without spoiling anything too major, it is not the highest ranked Death Battle. The next two seasons, in my opinion, definitely do a bit of a better job at the average one. The lowest rated one I'd say was Mob, and then the highest rated one was Mecha Godzilla versus the Dragon Zord. That's still a barn burner fight for me. I love that fight. But that is my thoughts on Death Battle Season 6. What do you think about Death Battle Season 6? Is it one of your favorites, one of your least favorites, or are you just kind of indifferent to it? I mean, we're always going to have that season we're a bit indifferent to, and that's fine. Until then, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you folks for the next one. Have a good one.